Jura tool clone here, ZD915. You can see I've just removed this. I'm not getting anywhere. What happened was I switched it on, set it to 420, left it for a few minutes, came back, it was at 420, and I started to use, well, just press the button. There's a bit of solder on the end, press the button, and it blocked straight away. And the solder is somewhere up here. I have spent half an hour, I kid you not, trying to unblock it, with a tool here, and you get about that far in, and it won't go any further. It's just driving me nuts. Now, I've had this before. What I should have done, in retrospect, is when it said it was at temperature, left it for 10 minutes, do not touch the button, just leave it, and then start to use it. Because what happens is it's not fully heated up here. The end is, up here is not. And if there's a bit of solder on the end and you suck it up, it sort of solidifies somewhere near the centre. And even though I've set it to 480, that was a tool from Fran Lab actually, I left it like that downwards for half an hour and kept pushing and pushing and pushing. It won't unblock. There's some solder somewhere here that's absolutely solid. So anyway, the reason to remove the tube is to push from this side. Yeah, and it's again in the middle. So what I'm going to do this time is push that way. And what can help is pliers. I might go and get my stronger pliers in a minute because these are going to slip. You want ones with a grip on, and then you want to, obviously push towards the point. I might have more success pushing rather than pulling. Anyway, I just need to leave this to heat up for a few more minutes now, and we'll see if we can push it out like this here. So far, no joy. Oh, hang on. Yeah, I'm not sure if that's moving or not. Let me go and get my other pliers. I'll be right back. But if you've got one of these, you'll be able to relate to this, and you'll know what a pain in the backside it is when it happens. It's really annoying. Yeah, I'm not sure I'm gripping that. Oh, hang on, maybe it is moving. I don't know. I feel like I'm not moving any further up. Yeah, it feels like I'm not making any progress there. Yeah, I'm not moving any further forward, am I? So it's like I can't go any further forward, I can't go any further backwards. It's like whatever's stuck in there is, let's say, in the middle here. Now, if it's near the end, you can actually use a drill, a very fine PCB drill, and you can usually drill the bits of solder or whatever it is that's there out. But on this occasion here, I am super struggling with this. Now, the other thing, let me show you. The other thing sometimes helps, and sometimes you'll see the solder here. Sometimes heating here can help because you're heating the rear part of the tube. So if you get heat from this end as well as the other end, that can sometimes do the job. Although I'm not sure this is making any difference at all. The other thing you can try and do to spread the heat, as well as holding it that way, as Fran Lab kindly suggested, is literally get some flux down there. Hang on, dropping it on the floor here. Yeah, you can get some flux over there like that. Let's try heating here again. Oh God, what a nightmare. Just doesn't want to go in at all. Anyway, I'll report back in a minute and I'll explain exactly how I unblocked it, assuming I ever come back. Right, so desperate times, desperate measures. I've taken this all to pieces when it's cooled down a bit. It's still hot though, and I've got a drill bit here. You can see it's a PCB drill bit that's just long enough here that when the thing's off here, you can actually get it in. What was happening before, when I had the metal surround here with the tip on the end, the drill bit would go right inside, so I'm like, well, I can't drill that out, can I? But what I can do now is I can get to the blockage. Here, look. Can feel it. So let's just put that down a sec. Let's just see how hot that is. Yeah, it's cooled down a lot actually. And we'll stick it in my drill here. You could use all sorts of different types of drill mechanisms to hold this drill bit, including just some pliers or something. And obviously we need just a little bit on the end here, not too much, otherwise it's not going to be the right length. See if that's long enough now. Alright, let's see if that's going to be long enough. I might need to extend it out. Hang on, extend it out a little bit. I forgot about that bit. Let's just get rid of that so before it falls off. Yeah, got rid of that piece of metal there. So let's just put it in here. Yeah, look, just the right position. So if I just gently rotate like this, I'm not putting much pressure on here. Now this is one of these drills that you could do that with actually, but yeah, I prefer to just rotate. Let me just make sure I'm going the right way. Yeah, it is clockwise. And we'll just see if we can unblock it like this. So yeah, the C64 board is not normally that far out on the carp actually. Just say, has that moved? I don't think it has actually. If this is why you're watching this video, the desolder station, it's worth watching the rest of the video because we come back to the desolder station a couple of times. I may just try a different drill bit because the end on this one is a little bit torn up. I've just been tapping it on there and some powder's come out. So is that the inside of this? What is it? What am I actually drilling? I think whatever it is, we've moved it further along. Hang on, have we? No, yeah. I think whatever it is, we moved it further along because now we're up to that long. So it's like right up here now. And actually that was it. That drill bit, even though it was still blocked, there was some solder behind it. Now I have got it like this, as you can see, totally disassembled and it's on, it's heated up. The tool is going right through. So I think there was a pin in there, or something like that, with some solder behind it. So yeah, I think that's it. So I can now switch it off, I think, cool, let it cool down, and clean it up. Before I do that, I'm going to have a really good prod through here from both angles, because there is still a catching point there. I don't know what that is. It's catching on the inside just a little bit. So the other way this gets blocked is with solder. You'll sometimes find the solder there, and what you're going to do is push the tool like that, push onto a flat surface, heat with the solder at that point as you're pushing like that, and you will unblock it. So those are two different types of way you can unblock these. But anyway, I can clean that up now. It looks right state, doesn't it? Look at all the dust and stuff around that. And you know what, while we're here, I'll show you some of the stuff. So yeah, get rid of your filter each use, because you can see those just get absolutely caked up. Big lump of solder there. You can use a wire brush or something to get these bits of solder off the spring. This tube here, you get some IPA onto some kitchen roll and push it in. Can you see that? And then do the other side. This is just the way I do it. I'm sure everyone's got their own way of doing things, but if you've never owned one of these and maintained anything like it, you might not know the best way to get the best out of it. As you can see, that's starting to look pretty clean there now. Give it another go on that side. So yeah, I mean, you could use another piece of kitchen roll now to get that even cleaner, but that's good enough for me. So the rubber bung here, don't use IPA on this, just literally, you know, wipe it like this, get all the bits of dust and solder and what have you off it. Rubber will perish when you get IPA on it, generally. So, I mean, that'll do as far as I'm concerned, I think. And then obviously one side of the rubber goes on there like that. In fact, your spring, it's easier to stick the spring on there first, once your spring goes onto that. Like that. Put that in there. Obviously I can get these things back onto the iron now, so it has that sleeve there, doesn't it, first. And then we've got the tip. And then the whole outer thing here. Screw it on there, it's still a bit hot this, I can feel it taking the heat straight away, so I'll quickly turn that. Ow, that's hot. And then my pliers, obviously tighten that more than finger tight, otherwise it just comes undone when it's, you know, you've got hot and cold cycles. So I've got some IPA on here. I just want to have it wipe around the inside of here just because it's a little bit dirty. And I will just wipe this with a bit of IPA just because it is really dirty, even though that's rubber. And we'll just use a cotton bud just to get in here like this. and cotton bud in there actually as well. So the final thing here is a new filter. Now these filters are always a little bit smaller than the cavity, so you know, you can see I've got some mineral wool. I will reuse this generally because it works really well, and I will shove that in there, and so then I will fit the filter stuff at the back there first and slide it in like that. Just rotate around, just make sure your mineral wool or your filter, whatever you put there for your filter, is all sat flat, and it is, and then just obviously click this close like that. That's it, and we've got suction. Can you hear that? My iron died. You can see I've taken the tip off it, put it on the replacement iron. Obviously, the first thing you want to do when you get a problem like this is check the fuse. You can see the fuse in there. But actually, you can do a test initially. Put your meter on resistance test there. Hopefully you can see that. And just test between the leads there. Nothing. That shows that it's open circuit, so it could be the fuse. But if you saw resistance there, that shows you that actually it probably isn't the fuse, and it probably isn't the elements actually. So if we check that fuse, you can see there 0 ohms, well 1 ohm. So it isn't the fuse. And just so you can understand what I mean there, if we look at this brand new working iron here, you can see we've got roughly 3.5k there across live and neutral. So yeah, that just gives you a quick insight into the fact that it's probably the element, because all this is, you know, it's going to go from the live down here. There'll be a coil that goes all the way around some sort of ceramic core probably, and that coil goes open circuit. So you know, therefore you just measure open line here between these two, but do check your fuse. You can get a replacement element for these, but I don't know how you get into it. Obviously you undo that plastic screw there, that releases the cable here, but then you've got to pull this part out. You have to lever it out, and it's about £8 or £9 for an element. It was 30 quid for a whole new iron. It's just far easier to get a whole new one. So yeah, I'll put that into recycling. I've chopped the cable off. It's always useful just to have a short distance of mains lead there. You know, we've got earth, live and neutral, correct colour codes and things, and that cable's going to be good enough to use for something, you know, if I need a short mains lead for something. So one thing I can fix on here, I've got a new nozzle here, which I think is for this. I could be wrong. So let's, it's an older solder pull this, let's just grab it and unscrew it. Yeah, I'm glad I thought ahead. I mean, obviously this is a bit of an old, sort of almost decommissioned desolder pump this anyway, but anyway, it's nice being able to replace the tip like that, give it a brand new lease of life. Yeah, that's nice, isn't it? Yeah, you can see it's got tape there because obviously the end just kept falling out, but yeah, it's not working very well that, so I might just clean this out. Oh, it's not too bad. Well, I thought about just clean out the solder station, and I'm glad I decided to do this. Look at that, absolutely filthy. So I think we'll give it a new filter, but the first thing I need to do is just to break off all of this like that. Sometimes you can be unlucky with this and the actual metal fatigues on the spring. There we go. Big lump there. Huge lump here. Look at that. I'm amazed that was even working. It's right in there, look. Yeah, this is also where you may need to use cutters. Careful not to cut the spring. I mean, it's really loosely held together because of the way the solder gathers, you know, it sort of has a weak bond, and lead is pretty easy to cut and malleable and stuff anyway. There we go. There's some different type of solder there. You can see it looks really shiny. That could be a low melting point. Good God, that is really sturdy compared to the other stuff. There we go. Some IPA, and firstly clean the spring. Oh God, tubes just falling on the floor. I mean, you could use like a wire brush or something to scrape all these bits of solder off here that's stuck onto this. and then just close it. You can see that's pretty good. So the next thing is try and fix this, because this handle just keeps sliding off. So what I'm going to do here, I've got some of this really strong rubbery glue. I mean, it's really, really sturdy stuff, this. I put this on some trainers at some point, and yeah, the soles never came off again. Anyway, I'm just going to smear this all around here. Hopefully this will do the job. Anyway, there's plenty around that now. Let's now slide this up. There's going to be some excess here, look. So I just need to just collect that. And then try and collect the excess off here. What I'll probably do is just stand it upright like that, and then it's not going to slip down as it dries. Let's see if that does the job. So I showed you before that this can get loose, and it is loose. Just a little bit. So yeah, tighten the screws up there. But anyway, at this point now, I'm going to clean this out. Weller mineral wool. Now there's different types of this stuff you can buy online. You don't necessarily need to try and find the Weller stuff, but I'll pull a bit off like that. That's enough. And I do the same thing at the other side of the hose there, you know, the station. I'll show you that in a minute. Yeah, that'll do. It's about as good as it's going to get, I think. But the key here is we also have, you know, the filter at this side. So I'll pull the hose off here, unscrew that. We'll see what state this one's in. And again, I double up here, look, mineral wool in the cap and a filter there. Now, the filter there always stays stuck in, so you've got to sort of stick something sharp in it, hang on, and sort of pull like that. So you can see that is yellow, so the flux has been getting through those different layers of filter in there. So really, that needs swapping as well. Right, so I've got some more mineral wool there, I've got a brand new filter here. I mean, look at the colour difference. Yeah, it's like, this one's nice and white, and that one's yellowy. Flux has got through that and fumes and stuff. So that's going to go in the bin. Those are the new ones. And then we'll just do the same sort of thing here, just try and collect all this. You can see, look, it's like solid. It's got like a sticky, gooey flux. Can you see that? The flux inside that. So yeah, this is essential. Look at that filter's done its job, look. This is why it's a good idea to double up the filtering. Oh, I've dropped on the balloon floor. Yeah, this is why I double up the filtering. Had I not done that, that there would have obviously gone into this, and then by now it would have already gone through into the pump. But you can see the side of that was facing the thing is fairly white, that side pretty yellow, and then obviously this, you know, that says everything. So that has extended the life of this, and I replaced the mineral wool 4 or 5 times. This hasn't been replaced on the last 4 or 5 times I've cleaned this, but obviously now we are going to do that. All of this stuff is about keeping the thing up and running as long as possible, you know, so that it doesn't fail, but also about saving you money and time. You know, look at that, it's horrible, that flux, it's crusty on there. Really thick and crusty, it's solidified. So yeah, we'll clean with cotton bud, circling where it's all stuck on there. That is the worst I've seen it, I think. It's long overdue since last time I did it. So clean end of the cotton bud, some more IPA. And we've got a rubber ring, I think, that goes around that. Gonna clean that. On the outside, I'll try and squeeze that cotton bud into the end there and rotate like that. Yeah, it's looking a lot better in there. Still not quite there, so I use another cotton bud just to collect the IPA. And then this cavity here, what I tend to do with this, these new cotton buds, the way they've changed them, they're like paper stalks now. Yeah, so like if you cut the end off one and dab that in the IPA, you can sort of squeeze it in like that and, you know, rotate and press different ways like that, and if there is any residue on the very edges you can mostly get it off. Yeah, there's very little coming off that, but there is some contamination on the end of that. We'll do the same from that end. And rather than waste the end of this cotton bud, I might as well just give it one more go on the inside. Just cleaning the thread now, just in case there's anything worked its way through the thread there. Yeah, and hopefully you'll agree, that is looking pretty darn clean. So as I say, I'll use my doubled up approach here of sticking the mineral wool in like that, cleaning here before you finally reassemble it. It's a good thing to do just to determine the state of the inside of there. Is it yellowy? And no, it's not. So you know what, the filter has done its job. Right, and then the final thing here now is to get our nice new filter in there, and it fits perfectly. Yeah, just gently massage that back into position. I'll try and sort of just press it like that, just to make sure it's flat and squeezed out, to, you know, join the edges. But obviously when you screw this on with the additional mineral wool we've got there, and that will squash down as it goes into position, but you can just move it away from the threads if you're worried about the, you know, catching on the threads. And get that back on. That's it, that's nice and tight. And of course, yeah, at this point, what you could do as well, what I will usually do is just test things at the different stages here. So I won't even, you know, I'm holding this, I don't want this to burn anything, switch it on. And then just by virtue of pressing the button, we can test the suction here. It's good, isn't it? Switch it back off. Get some more IPA here, because the final thing is this cap. You could argue clean this up while it's off, but I just want to clean up around there, because that's where the hose joins, and I could see just a wee bit of dirt or something. And believe it or not, do the same thing here, because this is where you can get flux contaminating this part here as it joins the filter section. It's not too bad actually, it's alright, there's nothing stuck in there. But I have seen it a number of times where you do that and there's like all yellow stuff just on the end. This is where these things will have a problem generally. So now that's nice and clean, I can simply pull this outwards straight and deal with my hoses. So like, I'll always, you know, unwind these, yeah, because they twist around each other, and get them so that it's nice and straight. Run the hose like this right next to it. We're not going to have any twists or anything. We'll then use the screwdriver here to just make sure those are tight. That's it, and then just make sure it doesn't wobble. There's a little bit of wobble in there, you can see that. Tiny little bit of play. So yeah, in this odds and ends video, a bit of tool maintenance on sharp implements, like my knife. I've got a load of these blades. You can see it's getting right down to the end, and I've had it extended a fair bit here. This whole bit, I'm just going to bin it and just replace the thing entirely. So, clean with a bit of IPA. You can see some rust's got on there. This is exactly why you would want to clean with IPA, because anything that's just been sat around can get oxidised, get oils, greases, bits of corrosion, etc. I'm going to need to vac up in here in a bit, because, well, as you can imagine, cleaning a blade results in shaving whatever your material is that you're wiping it with. Just cleaning the actual blade part carefully. I must have had these for probably almost 30 years now. This is the crazy thing, these replacements. And then I've also got a replacement blade for the hacksaw. You can see this one is pretty balked here. It's been used loads of times. So again, just clean the replacement blade carefully. I ain't looking forward to changing this. This is a pain to get on and off, from what I remember. Yeah, the thing with these is it's kind of pressure fitted, isn't it? You've got to slightly stretch it, and one side's easier than the other. I think maybe you pull this rubber thing off, I don't know, or slide this up, maybe, like that. Yeah, I thought it was the door, but it wasn't. It was just a van outside. So anyway, the hard bit now is, well, I mean, look at that, it is really, you can see it's got corrosion starting on there. This one's not much better, but, well, it's new. I reckon that's been on there for the last 20 years, that blade. So obviously you need to get it the right way up so that the cut inside is down, and yeah, you sort of do that. But then look, it's like it's not going to go. I think what you need to do is you bend this way. So to get the old blade out, you've got to press here like that. Sometimes the best way to do it is to press down on something, but obviously the blade's pressing the floor there, so that's no good. What I did is I stuck something hard there and I pressed like that, and then it just popped out. And then to get it back in, it's the same sort of thing in reverse. And actually I figured if I point you straight down, you can see, I can bend it, yeah, but like then it's not hooking on. I think maybe the best thing to do is hook the bottom on there and then bend downwards. But it's perhaps not quite as far down as it should be here. So I need to just do that again and press towards the back of it. That's it. There we go. Perfect. Line there, brand new blade with the odd bit of paper towel on it. And I guess the other thing is this. So how does this come apart? A little plastic nubbin there. Hang on, let's try and press that in. End comes off. This slides all the way out, so get it that way around, like that. I mean, there's still use on that, but would you want to use that bit? No, I don't think so. Not when I've got a full pack of these that have never been used for 20 years. That goes in there. I think we'll just clean this thing up. And that goes into the channel. There we go, brand new blade. Get that hole there. I mean, it's simple stuff this, but I just figured you might find it interesting to see what lengths I'll go to. And then finally, I'll just give it one wipe with some more IPA in the interest of health and safety, that should I cut myself, I have fully disinfected that side. And trust me, the last thing you want is septicemia, when you accidentally slip and just give yourself a little cut and you think, oh, it's only a small cut, and you didn't realise that something horrible was on the edge of the blade. Yeah, and that can go in for recycling along with the hacksaw blade. And while I think ahead, that has not been cleaned in quite some time. That, long story short, went through my thumb 30 years ago. Yeah, that went straight through my thumb. The sharp end here was pointing right out here, up by about that far. My boss had to pull it out. Oh, that was so fun. It was one of the two traumatic injuries I received whilst in the actual trade. The second one occurred 2 or 3 years later when I was working on my own, when I took over the business. And yeah, that CRT, I've talked about it a number of times. I just got too near a leaking transformer while I was trying to measure something while it was on. And the HT leaked into my arm. Shock through the heart, fell to the floor, soaked in sweat for about 15 minutes or so, staggered into the reception after 15 minutes or so, and my boss's secretary said, "Oh my God, your face is white, Chris, what's happened?" And they sent me home. Yeah, I'm sure I had a heart attack that day. So don't take high voltage with a pinch of salt. Well, it makes me cringe when you get all these people on these channels just measuring casually next to EHT cables, going, "Ah, it's alright. You're alright as long as you're safe and all this," you know, the hands next to things. Yeah, all you need is a leak from a transformer, and you'll get a lethal, potentially lethal shock. And when people used to work on CRTs, you know, a number of people used to die every year working on them. It's not like it was like a rarity. It is by today's standards, because hardly anybody works on things like that. But you'd be amazed at how the safest person with the safest tools can just get a little bit casual near the cable and think the cable is alright because it's thick plastic and it's isolation and all the rest of it, and you don't realise that gases can pass current, ozone leaks off, it's charged, you get charged particles and things, you know. I'm talking crap here, but the point is, gas can be conductive. And that's exactly what happened to me. I just got near some ozone because the monitor had been powered for a few hours, and the oxygen in the area allowed a path of current through my arm. So you can argue it probably wasn't full charge. If it had been 25 kilovolts, I would have been dead. Could have been 1,000 volts, you know. Try putting 1,000 volts through your heart and see how you fare. And of course it's not about voltages, it's about current. You don't need very much in the way of current to kill yourself. Right, so the next thing here is this thing. Yep, believe it or not, I serviced this. This one really does need replacing, so it's a case of very carefully, and I would wear rubber gloves to do this. Yeah, I'm good at giving advice that I don't follow. Let's just carefully just try and massage this out. Do this on an area where you know you're going to be able to contain everything that pops out here, because there's going to be loads of particles of solder that are going to fall off. This thing usually gets quite a lot in it. It's not too bad on this occasion. So I'll empty that. Yeah, and hoover up thoroughly afterwards, just in case you get a particle of solder. So that's the inside of that cleaned. Yeah, but this stuff, what I will do with this is take cutters to it, find any large pieces of solder like that, and just snip them. Sometimes you can just pull them off, but other times you may want to just cut them off. That's actually not too bad. I've seen it way worse. I've seen it 10 times worse than that. And then I'll try and push it in such a way that there aren't like pieces of solder facing outwards, just so that it does its job. That when you stick the solder in there, it collects the bits of solder off the end. We need to do the same thing with this. So this has just been on. I'm just going to carefully just put that over there, balance it on the bench. Yeah, this thing, yeah, the sponge here, we've got the odd bit of solder around that. There's a piece down there. Yeah, so I'll try and, you know, wipe off the bits of solder that are stuck onto the sponge. Exactly the same thing. Again, just try and pull this out. Easy said than done on this occasion, because it's such a small gap. And get that back into there. That'll do. You know, I could just take a cotton bud here and just have a bit of a wipe around that. So IPA, yeah, so IPA on the paper towel here. If we just gently wipe the side there, you can see it goes a bit bluey. So just wipe gently and then use a dry bit to dry it. Otherwise the paint will just come off on these. I don't know whether this is an original or not. I think it is. It came from Dermot Sweeney, this. I really appreciate that donation. It's amazing. He's an amazing guy. Thanks ever so much again, Dermot. So yeah, there's a horrible mark there, so we'll just go over that a few times. But as I say, paint comes off. And it's going to be exactly the same with the yellow bit there. You're never going to be able to get one of these looking good as new. They wear, you know, the paint is not very resilient on these. But yeah, and look at that, the paint's all worn off the inside there where the thing has been mounted. And we could just for good measure just clean that little bit there, because it's heat damage, isn't it, or flux or solder or something on it. Yeah, a bit of flux actually. So I can't wait to get the vacuum out in a minute, just to, you know, I'll carefully wrap this up, carry it to the bin, and then just vacuum around. But there's bits of solder everywhere here. So wire brush again, and I just go really gently over the main part here. I'm just trying to pick up any flakes of contaminant and any pieces of plastic. These things are coated, so if you go crazy, you can make it start to corrode, and you can actually expedite the end of the life of it, if you see what I mean. And then around the tip here, there's, you know, like a bit of a dirty bit there, some plastic bits where it welded on in the past. And again, I'll take some IPA onto a rag like that and just clean the length of that. Now the interesting thing is that hasn't been loosened, but I can feel it's loose now. This is what happens, just the same with the desolder station, that, well, it comes finger tight after a period of time. So yeah, just tighten that up nice and tight. Make sure this grip is pushed up here where it should be. Yeah, in general that's pretty clean, but we'll clean the tip independently in a minute with some tip cleaner, and we'll do the same thing with the desolder station, and then it should just bring that looking a little bit better. And about once every few years I will end up taking the tip off this. Just done that. It's one of these where it twists, yeah. So this is the A10858D. So I'll do exactly the same thing here, just, you know, with IPA, just give it a gentle wipe. We'll go over that with the wire brush a little bit as well, I think, just because it's a bit burned to a crisp, isn't it? And you could argue it's more important on the inside here, where it makes a thermal join to the end. Yeah, and we'll get that back on. Might just get a new tip for this actually, now I think about it. It can't be that expensive. I'm trying to find where the notch is. It's that little indent there, isn't it? I think it goes, does it go there? Like that, and then it twists. Like that, that's it. That's on, I think. Yep, that'll do. There we go, that's looking a bit better. Right, there we go. I did get a bit carried away there. I cleaned the 500 a little bit as well. It just had a few bits of fluff on it. There was no particles or anything like that. And this is the thing, don't do what I did and work over the top of something important. And then likewise, when you're using a multimeter to test things, or even a scope, and you're pressing into solder points thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of times, you will get contamination on there. You'll get oils from your finger and stuff like that. So yeah, well, again, I'll use IPA. Hang on, there we go. And give those a clean with IPA as well. And it's the same thing, if you stab it through your finger, there's a lot less chance of getting poisoned with something if you've given it a clean. And you will get more accurate readings and measurements and things. You'll find a lot less problems trying to measure something when those are clean. Just flux, you know, if you've been soldering things and then measuring, you get flux on there and you can get resistance and just bad connections. So yeah, I'll always clean those the same way and then do a bit of that, just because the friction will just deal with anything on the actual very tip. And it goes without saying that when you've been working with flux all over your hands, you get it everywhere. It goes all over the tools that you've got to hand, so there is mileage in just wiping around anything that feels a bit fluxy, and my multimeter's always getting bits of flux on it from when I'm, you know, putting my tools down and then start measuring things, and it just goes all over my hands. And you may have seen me clean this fiberglass brush bristle end in the 3000 series, maybe. I can't remember whether I showed it in there. I'll extend it, and you can see it looks a bit black on the end. The contamination comes off the PCB and goes into the end of the bristles. It's pretty clean, that, actually. Often it'll be absolutely black when I do that, and then it doesn't work as well. Yeah, you can see that there, a black point, just from rotating like that, because the bristles spread apart and the contamination comes out. So that's good. You know, I'm not sure what other people do to sharpen something like this. You know, if you've got an angle, what's his name, a belt sander or something like that, you know, or a grinder of some sort, you could really easily sharpen something like this. What I'll tend to do is, you know, I can see there's a couple of squished bits there where it's not going to make a very good bite, and I'll come in at a shallow angle like that and just do a bit of that with the file. But I'm going to use the grinding pen on the magnification, full RPM, and have a bit of a grind here, try and sharpen this. If you're anything like me and you have plastic utensils for magnification, I've got a couple here, I will, hang on, struggle to get some plastic cleaner out. I'll tell you what, let's just use a cotton bud. Yeah, I get some plastic cleaner, so I use Maguire's Plast RX here. Don't need that much. Yeah, get some onto that. I use this a lot, which seems crazy. I've got a microscope, a couple of microscopes here actually, I'll be showing soon, and hopefully be able to use those, and then things like this may become less required, but you know what, it's useful having a hand tool like this for magnification, just for going and looking at component sizes and things like that when you're not at the bench and you're looking in trays and things like that. You can get the head mounted things that people like Adrian Black use, and I don't like those, if I'm honest. Yeah, and I'll just give them a quick polish like that. There we go. So, yeah, it's marked and stuff. There's the odd scratch and stuff on that, but that is 1,000 times better. Yeah, and this is the thing that is going to be hopefully replaced with the microscope or two. But yeah, I do periodically have to do the same thing. This gets done about once every 6 months on this, actually. Yeah, I got an IPA rag there. If you clean something like this with IPA, you know, clear plastic, it'll leave white, streaky, horrible marks. It makes it actually harder to see through. So this is why I use plastic cleaner, dedicated plastic polish. Same thing, use the dry end, and just try get right to the corners and polish off any residue. Yeah, so there's the odd particle of dust on that, but again, I think you'll agree that that is super clean. It'll just make my life so much easier being able to see what I'm doing with this thing. I have to also periodically tighten all these things up because they drive me nuts when it starts rotating. Everything slips where you don't want it. Anyway, that'll do. It's actually lit, this thing, as well. You put a switch and you get a light flickering on and off on a bit there. It needs a bit of contact clearing that switch, probably. But yeah, it's not very bright at all compared to the background line I have. Right, the next bit of tool maintenance here is to swap out the battery on this. The battery warning symbol, it sort of comes up over here somewhere. It comes up after a minute or so using this, so I'm guessing the battery level has dropped a fair bit. Last time I replaced this was about 4 years ago, I think. Now, I'm hoping I've still got some spares from Alice and Chalice. These things, from memory, use the camera batteries, don't they, I think. In fact, it doesn't. That's AAA. They said they changed them. Yeah, the older models of these used the tiny little 12-volt batteries you got in cameras back in the 90s. Let's just carefully pull that out. So it's nicely changed to a AAA because, well, they're just a bit more mainstream these days, I think. Those camera batteries might start getting short in supply because, well, not much uses them these days compared to decades ago. Hang on, just measuring that battery. Yeah, 1.3, that's a bit low. This one's probably going to be about 1.45 or something. It's not brand new. There we go, 1.445, that'll do. It should give me a few years maybe. Put that back in. They're really nice, these, aren't they? I love that purple PCB as well. Connection soldered on here, you know, that's a weak point on these. You wrap the wire around it like I do, and ultimately, let's just test it. Yep, there we go. Sounds much louder as well, the beeps and things on it. Be careful not to cross thread to go backwards. That's it, so it does that, and then you know you've definitely gripped the thread. Test tools like this always get abused a little bit when it comes to putting the screws in, changing batteries. My fluke is like that. One of the screw mounts in this is broken because someone in the past didn't be careful to not cross-thread it. Yeah, so I think moving forward, maybe loosely wrapping, flexing this bit here is the best thing to do. Just put that around there like that. Because if you press, you know, if you're too tight at the angle here, ultimately that's going to break, isn't it, the wire? It's quite difficult because my little carry case here, which is for a tom-tom, incidentally. Yeah, I always try and find carry cases and things just to protect these things. And that was like £2 or something from eBay, that tom-tom carry case. I've just cleaned around there with some IPA. It was all black and horrible. I think the solder must be coming out the top, and I don't know how actually. It must be coming out that bit there. Oh, it unscrews, look. Oh well, that's interesting. Right, let's do that. Let's take this off first. So make sure that's out. Even if you've not got the same solder pump, I'm sure you'll find mileage in this if you've never cleaned one of these out. There we go. So yeah, I've got some oil in there from just recently lubricating that. And the thing with oil, it's as I mentioned in the video when I did it, it's a win-lose situation. So you get a lot of suction, but then of course it accumulates on here really easy because the oil, it sticks to the oil. Yeah. So yeah, you've got to do a bit of this, go all around the spring. If it's stuck on the spring, like firm, solidified on there, you may need to chip it off with a wire brush or something, or a sharp tool. That's about as clean as that's going to get. So this, yeah, as I say, I've just discovered it unscrews here as well. Can we clean the whole chamber out that way? Or I don't know. That comes off there. How does this come out? Does it pull out? Yes, it does, look. There we go. So, yeah, these are really serviceable. Look, can you see in there? All bits of solder at the end. Here's loads of it. We donate this from Andrew Littleboy. Thanks ever so much. And the soldering iron that we cleaned earlier, that was a donation from Dermot Sweeney. Both those things just after I lost my job. And I've got a job now. I don't think I've not got a job, but the job I've got now doesn't pay as much as I used to get, but it gives me more flexibility. My boss is really good. It gives me flexibility to do my hours when I want, which is really cool. Actually, he's a really good guy. He was a lifesaver, as were my Patreons, for just helping me keep going really with the channel. I know I've sounded really negative over the last, a few years really, saying I'm not sure they want to keep doing it, but I mean I have to, it's a job. It does provide some income to pay some of my bills. So I am super, 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 super grateful. But sometimes with my channel I do question whether I should just go and get another job and then have a lot more money and have more time effectively, because the thing is I do these videos non-stop. You might not think that, but I spend an incredible amount of hours on them. The channel's actually harder than my job, if I'm honest, just because of the time and cost as well. Yeah, so it's pretty clean in there, but we've still got loads of bits of solder on the ends, so I think I'll use the wire brush and just come in, just sort of get in at an angle like that, try and scratch it off. There it's coming off. Some of this is probably being pressured on from tightening it up with little bits of solder stuck there. So I'll get some more IPA, and I think we'll clean this piece up. So I'm going to just clean that. This is where I probably need to chip it off actually. There's like a piece of it here or something. There you go, look at that. A disc. It's there still. And obviously we've got some on here. Once you loosen it, and then obviously using some IPA like this, you can just wipe it off. I think what would be a good idea is to take this rubber O-ring out here, the seal, because there's going to be bits of solder all around it in the little gaps and stuff. So let me just wipe around it a couple of times, hang on. So it's got the extended part near this side, and then it goes a bit narrower here. Yeah, it's like two thicknesses to that. Unless it's two separate pieces, I don't think it is. Let's just see if we can pull it up. Hang on. You may be able to get these as replacements. Just pull it over there, like that. That's it. Just carefully pull it over and pull it off. Yeah, you can see there's like solder and stuff in here. Look. Let's just get a cotton bud. This isn't the sort of clean you probably need to do each time you clean it. This is like, say, the first time in, I don't know, must be almost 4 years now, I think. 2019, I think. I got this from Andrew Littleboy. So, yeah. This is like it's, I don't know, 100,000 mile service or something like that. I mean, look at all that there. Can you see all that solder that's come out on that? It's horrendous. No wonder it wasn't sucking particularly well. It was sucking. Not sucking, it was sucking. I'm going to use a cotton bud on that as well, I think, just to get right in and around there. And we'll do it on the outside edge there, maybe. I'll try and which way that went now. It was the fatter end towards the top, wasn't it? Just inspecting that, and you know what, it doesn't look too bad. There's still a little bit on the inside there. Bear in mind, you can absorb things through your skin. You know, this is lead, so I'm going to go wash my hands any second. Right, just wash my hands. Yeah, still some black bits there. It's probably most of the WD-40, but anyway, so the final bit now is that, isn't it? And then we can reassemble it. I probably will just give that spring one more go before I stick it in. Yeah, so we'll just do the same sort of thing. We'll just maybe press into this and just rotate it, just try and collect what we can out of the thread. Yeah, well, maybe while you're doing all of this stuff, just put some rubber gloves on. That's what I would suggest you do. I'm going to go and order some. I've got some actually. I think the next time I do something like this, I'll use them. It's probably about as clean as that's going to get. I could just like press my nail gently into the thread there and rotate it. Bear in mind your nail can get contaminated. Right, that's looking pretty darn clean, I think. So let's just give that spring one final go. Let's just see if it screws on. If it doesn't screw on, we know we've got it the wrong way around. Nope, it's screwing on. So nice and tight. It was a bit loose before. This probably explains why I didn't have suction, because there was a huge gap here. Now let's pull that. Get the spring in. That can go either way. And we've brushed that down already, so let's now just carefully push it into position and rotate. There we go. If you get any resistance there, you know there's a bit of solder on the thread, but that's just gone straight in, I think. Sticky at the end a little bit, but there we go. Got a nice suction there with that. So I'm just going to get a little bit of Molykote onto that. Yeah, we don't need a lot really, that'll do. That's probably more than enough actually. Let's just put some of that back in there. Let's just press this in. Oop. Yeah, so I mean it's not sucking as fast as it was doing. Hang on, maybe it is now with the lube's getting in there actually. Yeah, that's not too bad. Got a decent amount of suction there, I think. Yeah, that's going to be good enough. What I like about these, I think why they're resilient, is the engineering of them, you know, the actual aluminium assembly there. They're really good. And last but not least, the most satisfying bit here. So I will wipe the iron on the sponge here, first of all, just to get any particles of solder off, but yeah, that's okay. And then, yeah, tip tinner. You buy this stuff pretty cheap on eBay or Amazon. I think I got mine from Amazon actually. You can see it's like a mysterious sort of powder sort of stuff, and you just stick the tip in like that. Have a bit of a rotate around. I like to try and get it quite deep in there actually, just to go further up the tip. That's it, like that. And then just clean on here. It's actually like a, I don't know, a bit of solder I think, but if we just wipe that a few times, yeah, you can see the tip is an awful lot better there. Look at that, really nice. And bring the desolder station back over here, so pointing upwards just to suck. I tend to just get near this so I can hear the suction. Really free and unblocks that, no issues at all. But we'll do exactly the same thing here. Yeah, just helps just keep that tip in tip-top, pun intended, condition. Just rotate a little bit like that. On this occasion here, I'm going to shove it into this. Have a little wobble around like that. And there we go. I think you'll agree that looks brand new pretty much. Fantastic. And after cleaning the tip there and obviously pressing the suction, you can see there's tiny particles of solder. That was just the last few bits that were in here, and obviously from turning the tip there, still cooling down, that's pretty hot. But normally I would have that filter pretty flat and square. I'll correct that later when this has cooled down a little bit, because you know, you can see there's a bit of an uneven gap here. You know, generally I'll have like about that much of the mineral wool and then that filter, so I'll stick a bit more mineral wool and flatten that. But anyway, you get the idea. But additional filtering, it's not a bad thing. The suction on these is good enough to have additional filter in there. Look how decrepit this sponge is. Yeah, it's one of those things where I don't always put water in it and then just use it anyway, and of course that helps dissolve it, but it's kind of like a biodegradable thing, not as good as they ever used to be, these. The old yellow sort of Weller sponges lasted for like decades. Anyway, got some of these from AliExpress. I got like a pack of 10 of them for literally a couple of pounds, whereas you try searching for a proper one for Hayco, and this is exactly the same. It's the same dimensions, it's even got the same cutouts. There's like a bit here that you could pull out on both sides. I'm just going to leave it there for the moment. But these are identical, a couple of quid. Those are like £7 or £8 on eBay for Hayco ones. So yeah, we'll check AliExpress, and I'm going to replace that. Get a nice new sponge in there. And I always have a little thing of water just on the bench here. It's very small, so of course it does need constant filling up. I'll be lucky if this is like got any water left in it when I've finished like in my sponge here. And finally, these scissors. Remember me fixing these about 2 or 3 years ago now? Yeah, they've been solid. But the thing is, they don't quite cut as well as they should do, and it's because it weakens here, you know, with continuous use. They get a bit sloppy. What you've got to do is press, say, like here, yeah, so that you kind of bend this up just marginally. Now, bear in mind, this metal doesn't bend very easy, and I could break the plastic if I held it by that, so I'm holding it by the metal here, and I'm pressing down at that point there, the hinge point, just a little bit like that. Flip it over, do the same thing on the other blade, yeah, so again, not holding it by the plastic because it'll probably break, and pushing it on the hinge point straight down like that. And then as I close these, yeah, that's making the correct connection now. So if you look at these at the light, let me show you. And it's the same with any pair of scissors, and you could be confused to think, see if you look at the gap here now, you could be confused, I'm not sure you're going to be able to see that, think you might be able to hopefully see the gap between them. I've put it a bit closer, can you see there's a gap? As you open it here and then close it, you should see the cutting surface here, and it should go all the way up and follow to the edge. So even though these look like there's a gap, you know, as you look at them in the light, there's a gap like that, but there isn't at the bottom, and the cutting edge goes like that all the way, yeah? And as long as you see that happening and you can feel and hear it, you know it's going to be good. And just come across there. That's it, perfect, absolutely perfect. So again, those scissors will live to see hopefully many other days. Yeah, if you like the video, would like to see more content like this, consider subscribing. If you'd like to support the channel, please see the Ko-fi and Patreon links down below. I'll catch you in the next video. Hi, it's Gadget UK here again. Short video on the Duratool cleaner, and then fit the black end first here, but at the same time, just press with your thumb into the thing there. Hang on, see if we can do this. So then I will fit the mineral wool and the filter at the back first. Hang on, the spring's going at a weird angle there. And then if you're anything like me, oh God, I'm dropping things.